Good morning. It's another day when I will have to work on this E36, and actually that's great because I really want to drive this car. But before we start cutting and grinding and getting really dirty, let's review some parts which already arrived. And most important, that chassis parts have arrived. And the good part that these chassis rails actually are all simple for all E36s. So the only difference when you have a coupe model is from here to the front windshield. This is different for coupe and sedan and other models, but everything from here to the front on the chassis is exactly same on all E36s. Another important part which arrived, so it's the front X-brace, which goes for M3 models and Z3. Why it's very important for me at the moment? Because these points which are deeper in the chassis are 100% correct, and the X-brace connects to the front subframe by these points. So I will have the front subframe connecting with total of 6 points, 3 on both sides. So I will be 100% sure that subframe is in the correct position. In normal E36, the subframe is just standing on 4 points in the front, and that's all. In M3, Z3, it has 6 points. And in models like E90 and F30, already the subframe has 6 points, so it will be similar to like E90 mounting system. Now it came time to prepare all the points on the car where new parts will be welded on, so place of connection would be flat and clean. And just before moving to prepare new chassis rails to go on the car, I wanted to be sure all mounting points are still in the correct positions. For this I'm using laser to check height difference. Double checking height of both subframe mounts looks good. Also check top mounts, same level. It's time to bolt on subframe and X-brace to secure my straightening work in place, so nothing would move there during the front end welding. For my surprise, all the bolts went easily just with hands. That's a very good news. It means all 6 mounting points are in the exact positions where they should be. Now I can start working on the new parts. Sadly, not all the body panels which are needed were available new. And by using used ones I will save some costs, but it will take me much longer to prepare them. These also need to be separated by cutting and drilling. Paint and undercoating must be cleaned before using them. Maybe you remember that phrase which I said. I believe it should be fixed quite quickly. Now it's already day 4 when I'm working on this car and the end is not even near. But I really hope today I can already assemble the whole front. So I have really roughly pre-cut the front quarter panels, so both sides. Also, I just have welded a few spots such inserts like here and there. So I use such inserts to better align body to the parts which I need to weld on. Also, they will help a little bit me during the weld, because there I will just do the normal weld. At this stage I had to measure and cut both side rails by bit to fit my E36. It's precise and difficult task as it's completely 3-dimensional work. It helps me a bit that these parts are used. They come as one piece, so it's a bit easier to align them. Front small subframe helps me to set the distance between the rails and stiffen whole structure. I am attaching them now just with screws for a test fit. If it's wrong, I can easily redo them. After last measurements I can add more screws, so new parts couldn't move at all. Now let's just check for the last time with the laser if all the points are in the correct positions before we assemble the front. I'm using just a normal construction laser, nothing special. And here it goes in the center of the front bumper holder top bolts. I'm using the jack under the chassis rig to make the car in level. Now just let's let's just raise it, and now let's check if the car is still in level. So I am using this line under the heater because there is two chassis panels welded together, and there is a pretty nice line for me to see if the car is in level. So the laser goes just in front of the hole, and on the driver's side, very similar. The only difficult part for me this time was actually to get this dimension from this point to the other side correct. All other points were easily in the right positions, but these were simply too narrow. It's the moment of truth. Last few days while I was working on this BMW, I was using only dimensions I had. Not all the new parts were original, so I couldn't trust them also. Good for me. We have one E36 shell with FIA roll cage, which has never had any damages, so I could take few measurements from it. By the way, that car is for sale. While putting panels on the car, I am both excited and scared. If it all fits, then I am much closer to the end. If it doesn't, at least additional long day will be added to this rebuilding project. Finally, I got the front of the car assembled, and after nearly 2 years of standing, this E36 looks like a car again. I have put all the body panels just with few balls just to see if my measurements were right when I was drilling and cutting the front chassis rails, and it looks like it's right, but this car can be assembled quite nicely. Of course, now I did not bother to adjust every part perfectly, because this is better to be done when the engine bay will be already finished, welded and painted, so to do it simply good and once. I have been welding now for a while, and all the places where I have the access to are welded. Some welds ended up pretty good, some welds are not so perfect, but they will definitely hold, and I will grind them and I will make them nice. And we are now at the stage where I need to remove all the screws out, and also I need to remove subframe and X-brace, so I could have a better access to weld the chassis rails from the bottom. Also, I believe you have noticed there is a hole in one of the inner fenders on the right side, so I will need to weld that hole. And also maybe you noticed that the air filter box mount is missing, so I will also have to add the 6-cylinder air filter box mounts, because the front chassis rails are from 316, so the air filter box mounting are different. But these I will do in the last place once I have all the welds done. So now everything is already welded from the top of the car, and I noticed one more problem. So the top mount is cracked, so you can see the crack here, and it's the same on both sides actually. So you can see it here as well, there is a crack, but that's not a big issue. We see this on many cars which are used on the track, that top mounts tend to crack because of harder suspension and bigger loads. And also I will use such top mounts from M3, so it's the reinforcement for the top mount. It goes under the top mount, above the coilover, so this thick metal will help it from further cracking. So this is not a big issue, and I noticed it in the right time before all the grinding and painting. Finally, all the welding is done. So I have welded the both chassis rails completely from inner side and also the outside. As well, I have added the mounts for air filter box. I have fixed the hole on the right side, and now it's time finally to start grinding. Finally, all the grinding is done, and during the process I got really dirty. But finally it's done, and we are just few hours away from putting fresh paint in the engine bay. Maybe I have told you that this project to repair won't take me too long. However, I'm already working about 50 hours just on this, and the end is still not there. And just before painting, we need to apply the seam sealant so it would look more like original. And this technique which I'm using is actually really difficult to use because all the pattern will depend on my hand. So it's completely manual process, and so I need to be really gentle with my speed, with how much sealant I'm using, so it would look at least half decent. And in the last stage is just a small use of brush to make it look original. Big stage of this rebuild is finally done, and the front end is painted. We came all the way from this to this. It took me 5 very long days from the moment the car was still on the lifter, without the engine already, till the moment Linus helped me to paint the engine bay. But the result is stunning. It's maybe a bit even better than the original one, because the original is just a base coat, and we also put the clear coat on. Now it's time for car assembly. I will have to install the engine, assemble complete front end, and see if the car starts, because the engine was also standing for more than 2 years. So see you in the next episode. Give some support. See you next time.